Can't believe it. I've finally, I have finally set up a YouTube account. I was thinking about doing this for like well over a year, but I don't know. I thought, who's gonna want to see me on YouTube? Probably not a lot of people, but on the off chance that you do, welcome. So let's get into this video right now. So this video is basically my endometriosis story. So I thought I would start with defining what endometriosis is. And endometriosis is a condition affecting 1 in 10 women and people born into the female sex. And it's basically when tissue similar to the lining of your womb forms in other places. And it's been found on every organ in the body now. The symptoms of endometriosis tend to be things like extremely painful periods, chronic pain more generally, fatigue, nausea, issues with bowel and bladder movements, bloating, which is called the endobelly. You've got your heavy periods, and it can also cause infertility. With my own story, I started my period probably when I was maybe 14, 15, and they were very painful, but I sort of thought that's normal, so didn't really think much of it. Did decide to go on the pill though. For years, until I was 19, it stopped my periods. I didn't have any pain, no problems, nothing. Zilch. Well, that all changed one day, didn't it? So at the start of 2019, I literally woke up overnight one day and I was in agony, like excruciating pain, and I was bleeding. And I hadn't had a period in years, and this was like quite concerning to me, especially when it was accompanied with the level of pain I was in. So I got an urgent doctor appointment, and they initially thought that I might have been having an ectopic pregnancy. So I was sent to hospital to have scans where they ruled that out, and blood tests. And although I had no infection markers or anything, they decided they were going to diagnose me with PID, pelvic inflammatory disease. And that is something that they did treat me for. So I was sent back home with antibiotics and some pain relief. But the pain just kept persisting, and it was getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where I was back in hospital, back in A&E quite frequently, and I was admitted on a number of occasions. The ambulance had to come out to get me. It was really like unbearable pain, and it was relentless, like it was pretty constant. And that ensued weeks of going in and out of hospital, being admitted, being discharged, where they kept saying that I had PID, even though I had no suggestion of that other than my pain. I had no infection markers. They'd given me 2 courses of antibiotics, including IV ones when I was admitted, and nothing was changing. To give some context, this all happened when I was at uni, because I am a student, and excuse me, it was really difficult being away from home. My mum was like staying in my uni room when I was admitted in hospital, because I stayed like for a week or so. It was a really, really difficult situation, and the care at the hospital near my uni was horrific. I'm talking about me collapsing on the floor, no one coming to help me, even though I was screaming for ages. I'm talking about the nurses laughing at me, like behind my back, but I could hear them saying, why is this girl in here just for period pains? They've told me that sometimes people just get random pain, and that's just, there's no explanation for it. I was told it was exam stress, that it's period pain, and it was just sort of, I was just really sensitive and exaggerating it. I had a doctor's appointment at uni where I walked into the appointment like hunched over in agony. The first thing the doctor commented on was how badly I'd done my eyebrows that day. Like, appalling care. So Easter break comes, and we have 4 weeks off usually for Easter. So my parents managed to get some money together to pay for a private consultation with a gynecologist. And I had this appointment. He was really lovely. He saw how desperate of a situation I was in, and agreed to do surgery on the NHS. He'd seen on scans that I had a lot of free fluid, which he thought was blood, and it was, in my pelvic cavity. So he went in, sucked that on out and basically sewed me back up again. And said, you know, there was no evidence of endometriosis, there was nothing else really there. And at that point, endometriosis wasn't really on my radar because so many consultants in the hospital I'd been admitted into a number of times were telling me that I was too young to have it, which, newsflash, that's a myth. I was not too young. And I think, great, the surgery is done, like, he's solved my problems, I'm gonna recover, go back to normal, everything's fine. And literally 3-4 weeks after the surgery, like, the pain comes back. And I was so confused and so upset because I didn't understand why it hadn't worked. Like, it was meant to have been solved. I wasn't meant to have to deal with this anymore. And so ensued many more months of going in and out of A&E. And after a couple of times of being admitted to the gynae ward at this hospital, I would see consultants, gynecologists, and they kept saying they think I have endometriosis. And I was like, that can't be right. I've had a surgery and he said I didn't have it. But luckily, like really luckily, they were really good with me at first and they were adamant that it was endo. So they referred me to the hospital's endometriosis specialists. And I saw them, had an appointment, and they were like, yeah, this sounds like it's endometriosis. And given how long I'd been suffering for, and I'd tried the pill and I'd tried the coil and nothing seemed to be helping, they decided that they wanted to do another diagnostic laparoscopy. So in, I think it was March, I want to say, of 2020, I went into the hospital and I had my diagnostic laparoscopy with excision specialists, and voila, they found endometriosis. And I distinctly remember coming out of surgery back to where my mum and my boyfriend were. I was bawling my eyes out, and the first thing I said to them was, I'm not crazy. Because after a year of like constant dismissal, being told it's in my head, being told there's nothing wrong with me, it really affected me. And I was convinced before that surgery that everything was in my head and I was just being dramatic, because you're meant to be able to trust what the doctors tell you. And if they tell you there's nothing there, after a while, no matter how much pain you're in, no matter how many symptoms you have, you believe them if enough of them tell you it. And I believed them, and then all of a sudden, bang! I don't feel like I'm going crazy anymore because there's suddenly this reason for my pain. And even though it was scary to be diagnosed with a condition that has no cure, the overwhelming feeling was actually just relief that I had an answer as to why I'd been suffering the way that I had. And I felt like once I knew what was causing it, it would be easier to deal with it. Unfortunately, my story of like dismissal and problems with getting a diagnosis and being dismissed is not uncommon at all. In fact, I would say it's very common. A lot of, members of the public, a lot of doctors, people don't know much about endometriosis. And I mean, the really shocking thing is that doctors often don't know much about endometriosis. They don't know some of the basic facts. And that, alongside the sort of taboo topic of periods and period pain and menstrual health, makes for a very difficult situation when you're trying to get diagnosed. So many people boil endometriosis down to just severe period pain. That's not true. To be clear, endometriosis is not your period. It's a condition that is affected by hormones that take place during your cycle, and it can cause extremely painful periods. And I'm not belittling that because, bloody hell, they are awful. But it also causes infertility. It causes your organs sometimes to fuse together. It can cause internal bleeding. It causes so many problems that people don't realise. And by boiling it down to just a bad period, something you just have to deal with, it's part of life, is neglectful, really. And people with endometriosis deserve better care. So, in saying that, I want to make one message really clear, and if this is the only thing you remember or you pass on from this, then I am happy. If you or someone you know suffer from excruciating period pains, I'm talking pain to the extent that you can't go to work or school, over-the-counter pain relief does not help, it's making you throw up or pass out, anything like that. If the pain is that bad, you should see a doctor, because that's not usually normal. And often there will be a reason for that happening, whether it's endometriosis or something else. Extremely bad period pain isn't normal, and we need to stop making people think that it is. Because I had never heard of endometriosis before my health situation. I also had no idea what was and wasn't normal for a period. That's ridiculous. This should be being taught to young people, because it would save a lot of pain and suffering if conditions like endo were diagnosed earlier, because currently it takes an average in the UK of 8 years to get diagnosed. So my 1 year long journey is nothing compared to what most other people have had to deal with. And that's just wrong, and that really needs to change. Okay, so I don't have any idea if that made sense, if I did it in the right order, if it was rambly, who knows. But I do hope that you found the video helpful in some way, and that you know you're not alone if you're dealing with these symptoms, or if you've been diagnosed, whatever your situation is, you are not alone. And other people are out there, a whole community is out there who are here for you and will support you through it, even if people in your real life don't understand. Other people out there will. And yeah, you don't have to go through it alone. So I hope that you found this video helpful, and I hope that you can spread the message that really bad period pains are not normal. I hope that you all have a lovely, lovely day, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. On a side note, if you'd like to, I don't know what YouTubers always do, don't they? They go like, subscribe down below, like, comment. I feel like such a cheese like doing this. If you could subscribe, or if you want to, that'd be great. Like, comment, let me know what sort of videos you'd like to see from me. I hope you all have a lovely, lovely day. Mwah.